Oh, Michelle, of course, whenever you've got military activity in an area, it could escalate, not necessarily because China would intend to overrun Taiwan, but let's say as they conduct these military exercises, that one of these missiles went off course and that it hit another military or civilian target, whether it be in Taiwan or whether it be somewhere else in the Pacific. Japan is also affected by the exercises going on. But that being said, Michelle, I would want to come back a little bit off the headlines that are talking about military confrontation today, because I think if we look at what is happening, we've got a little bit of chest beating by China, which is drawing its lines, which is Taiwan will not be independent. The U.S. has drawn its line with the visit of the congressional delegation, including the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, which is the U.S. will support Taiwan's autonomy. And I think if those lines are understood, and I suspect they are, because there was a call between Chinese leader Xi Jinping and President Joe Biden last week. If the lines are understood and not crossed, then we will have this tension for a while, but then we'll go back to what is not exactly business as usual. It's never quite normal, but we'll get back to the economic, political activity that we've had for decades in this region.
And do you think the one China policy is still the right one for people to be following?
Well, it's not for me to say the right policy, because it just simply is the policy that China will be following, because the Chinese Communist government has never recognized the nationalist government that fled to Taiwan in 1949. And in effect, diplomatically, almost every country in the world, including the UK, switched from recognizing Taiwan to Beijing in the 1970s. And that's not going to change. Just because of the size of China, just because of the significance of it on the Asian continent, it will still have the seat in the UN, for example. But at the same time, while recognizing China and while not endorsing Taiwan's independence, because that's not going to happen, I think it is important to uphold Taiwan's autonomy, the right to conduct its economic affairs, its political affairs, and to not be threatened with a military invasion.
Scott, I don't know, say Dave the plumber in Wigan is sat watching this tonight, and he might be thinking, why is Michelle talking about China and Taiwan? What's that got to do with us here in the UK? How would escalation, conflict there affect us here?
Well, of course, first of all, Michelle, just as we've seen with Ukraine, it's the people of the country that are affected first when there's an invasion or if there's any type of action. And I think even though we're very distant from a Ukraine or from a Taiwan, I'm affected when I see people whose lives are taken over or disrupted because they're invaded. Now, how does it affect us more directly? Well, I got to be honest with you here. We will feel it, because with Ukraine, for example, we've already had the disruption to global food markets, global energy markets, global supply markets in general, and we will see the effects in our bills, for example. Well, this will happen with Taiwan as well. It's a very small country, but it's a very important economy. The Asian regional economy, which includes Japan and South Korea, is very, very important. Only a few months ago, this government talked about how important Asia is as part of global Britain. So I think the biggest effect we've had is that for more than 70 years, we've had an international rule of law, international order, if you will. It's being challenged now by Vladimir Putin in Ukraine, and it could be challenged by China. And it's that disruption of the rule of law that might seem a bit abstract to us, but it affects us in the day-to-day way that we can go out and conduct our jobs, that we can go get an education, or even in the prices that we pay in our household bills.